Hey everyone, welcome back to Guy Talk for the Uninformed. Of course, I am Jimbo.
And I'm Danno.
A little delay there. Well, speaking of delay, obviously we're doing something a bit different here, and for good reason. Normally we'd have the fancy backdrop and some actual production quality, but I am in a completely different state. I'm no longer at my apartment like I used to be.
Whoa, tell us
Where
more.
would be,
What happened?
well, that's where we would be recording this, but I got out of my apartment, um, oh, let's see, what'd that be? October. Yeah, last October for a variety of reasons. It was time for me to get out of there. But which is why we haven't done one of these in 11 months, if YouTube's accurate, which I assume so. But with our real consistent schedule, we've been pumping these out on a regular yearly basis, maybe.
On average, yeah.
But so maybe we'll do something like this. But anyways, so not only did I leave my apartment, but I moved in with my girlfriend out here in California for the time being. Yes, it was the next logical step, but it made a lot of sense because ultimately we're saving for a house in Minnesota. Not to get too confusing, the plan is to keep her house here because it's gorgeous out here. You've been out here.
Awesome.
Keep the house here,
Keep that place.
get a house in Minnesota because we want a lake home out there, and then Airbnb the place that's vacant at the time. So kind of seasonally live in one place or the other. It's like the American dream. So that's the plan. So while I'm out here, it's just been save as best we can. And so down the road, eventually we'll be back in Minnesota and hopefully we'll have better space to be recording these. But in the meantime, we've got technology. So yeah, production value may not be quite there, but we're going to do what we can because we've got topics to discuss, and I don't want to miss any of that. So how about you? What's new with you?
Oh, geez, I put on the spot here. Got a dog. Got into bouldering, like rock climbing things.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. We
I
haven't talked
legit
about
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Besides that, really not a whole lot. Just looking forward to the Minnesota summer. Missing you, Jimbo. Missing.
I know. It's funny. I get asked that all the time by people. What do you miss Minnesota, and do you miss living out there? And of course, I give them well, I got a lot of friends and my family's out there. But quite honestly, the one thing I miss the most is playing volleyball on
Oh,
a week on a
100%.
weekly basis. I miss the game, but it's obviously the social aspect of it, and it's always going to be on that Wednesday or Sunday, so you always have a reason to get out of the house to go meet up with friends, and especially this time of the year now where you sent me that picture the other day of sunny weather and it wasn't windy, and I'm like, oh, I'm just really missing that. I mean, we get plenty of sunshine and beautiful weather out here too. It's California, but it's not quite the same in that regard. So yeah, I miss it, but this is it's my time to be out here, and I don't regret it. It's pretty awesome, but I'm looking forward to that day when we do have our place out there too, and we can see it. But we're gonna be there in July for a couple weeks, so that'll be fun. But
Yep.
but yeah,
It'll be
here
good.
we are. Oh, what are you drinking, by the way, before we get into
Well,
tonight's topic?
I'm not getting fancy tonight. Tonight I'm going to the old fashioned Dos Equis
Those
in honor
Selkies.
of Cinco de Mayo coming up in
Yeah,
two
as
days.
2 days, Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is we're recording this on Friday right now.
I think it's the first time I've ever had a beer actually on this show. It's always cocktails, maybe a wine,
Yeah, oh,
but never a beer.
way to
So
way to bring it down a level for the average Cretan.
going down. That's what I'm doing. How about you, Jimbo? What are you drinking?
Well, my girlfriend spoiled me, and she makes a mean Cosmo. And so I specifically requested that one of her amazing Cosmos. And so she actually made a large one, put it in this thermos so that I wouldn't have to leave at any given moment, go down and get another beverage.
We could have queued
But
the
I have no
elevator.
doubt that this is going to kick me on my arse. But these are really, really, really good.
Ooh.
She makes them, I like them really tart. Like I don't like them really sweet at all. And so she uses like unsweetened cranberry juice and oh, they're so good. She knows exactly how I like them. I like them to where it's kind of like drinking a really dry wine where you take a sip and you kind of pucker up a little bit. We were actually just talking about that before we started recording this about
That's all I
the
want.
long dongs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Mm.
usually what we talk about, long dongs, before we get on live
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. That sparked many conversations. Well, cheers.
Here's Jimbo. It's
um,
good to be back.
yeah. Yeah. It's been far too long. And this is kind of like our pilot for um for recording it like this. So we'll be refining this as we go. But hopefully this is going to be a nice means to be able to do these on a more regular basis. We're definitely not in a shortage of topics, which leads me into tonight's discussion, which, um, well, we've brought up the gym numerous times, as in the place you go to work out. Um,
And you can
but
tell from Jimbo's biceps that he might
I
work
don't I
out.
don't even think they're well. It's the camera doing its thing.
No,
I
no,
think it's
you're just a well put together man. But go ahead.
well,
Sorry to interrupt.
thank you. I would opt to say that if you pro tip, just buy a smaller shirt. You want to look jacked, the smaller the shirt, the better. Although there is a point of no return. You get a little too small, but it has to clear. What would you say? The length of the shirt is important. It has to clear the pockets, because if it's up to like your belt line, that's
Oh
too
yeah,
small of a shirt.
yeah, for sure.
Like what is before we get into
This is
now
going to
we're
be a
going off on
40-minute
a tangent
conversation right here. I feel like it's going to be a 40-minute conversation.
on
About,
shirt sizes. Well, okay, so if it's not a fitted shirt, so if I'm just going to Target or wherever your clothes shop, Kohl's, I don't know where, but if you're going to and you're not getting some designer shirt that's actually kind of fits, fitted to your body, which by the way, the first time that you get a shirt like that, it's like it blows your world. Like it's such a
I've
world
never,
changing
I've
experience. Well,
never
because
experienced
oh really, where it like tapers perfectly. It's not all boxy.
that.
Okay. Well, someday you need to get yourself a fitted shirt. That's
Okay.
amazing. Um,
Okay.
but so you go to your store wherever you're shopping, and like what's the deciding factor on a shirt size? Because you can always go. It's real easy to. There's a fine line, I feel like, between going too big and then too small. Because like if you go, for me, typically, I would say 7 out of 10 times I wear a size medium. It just fits my body better. Now, if
Yeah.
it's just 100% cotton, I might go one size up because of the shrink factor. But for the most part, medium, it tailors to my body. If I go large, sometimes it just feels a little too boxy.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you could buy a large shirt and it kind of it fits you okay. But you go a medium, it fits you better. But then all of a sudden you wash it once and it's riding up to like there's just like this fine line. And I feel like with guys shirts, unlike women's shirts, ours are just boxy. They're meant for the dad bod or the gut or to
The
hide all those
biggest,
other
the
things.
biggest thing I have is always the neckline. Like I hate the ones that hug too tight.
Yes.
I don't like that at all. But I also hate the ones that are way too loose around the neck. So like I need a nice neckline, and then also where
Interesting.
the sleeves come down, like where's it hug your
Oh yeah.
upper arm,
Yeah. Okay. See,
and it
those
can't
are
be
good
too long
points.
either. Like if it goes way past your crotch, like that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
but you don't see
For
that
me,
too
for
often.
me though, yeah, I don't run into that as much. Usually it's I don't want like the worst thing that can happen is you buy a shirt, it's perfect, you wash it twice, and then okay, I can't ever wear the shirt again because I'm constantly pulling it down, or like you said, or like the you know, you get that shirt where all of a sudden the what do you call this, the sleeve line, you know, is
Yeah.
basically just barely covering like your delts, like your shoulder,
Mhm.
and it's riding way up there, and then it's like real obvious that shirt's too small for
Yeah.
you.
Then it gets into your armpit too. It's awful when
Oh
it gets
yeah,
into your
yeah,
armpit.
yeah. That maybe that's just the thing. Never wash a shirt. I'm kidding.
I feel like this is a whole nother episode we could get into. This
Yeah, okay. But enough about that.
shirts.
Shirt stuff. I don't even know how we got on. Oh, you're talking
I
about
don't know how I
biceps.
did, but it was fun. It was
It
fun
was
little last.
yes. I was kidding that you should just buy small shirts and then your biceps look ginormous.
That's right.
But yes, so the gym. So going to the gym. Now, you know, originally you saw my original draft for this conversation was I was all over the place. Like I was going to pick your brain about your routine, like what are your goals, all these things, and you know, in typical fashion, you know, it kind of blew out of proportion to what the crux of this is all about, which is things that most guys I feel like don't really discuss. And some of these things maybe they do, some they don't. But we've brought this up numerous times, like gym etiquette, stereotypes, girls at the gym. You know, what do you think of mirrors? All these different things. So I don't know if there's a particular order that we should tackle these in, but these are all strange things about the gym that kind of make us go, hmm. But maybe etiquette. Should we start there? Is
So I'll just go in just my experience this morning in the gym, and that'll probably
okay.
kick us off in gym etiquette. And it's a very simple thing that happens all the time, and then we can probably branch off of that. But like I had back day today, and I added in some legs too. So I started with like deadlifts, hoping to get some back in there, and
Yeah.
adding back on top of that. And there's one machine. I'm sure there's a name for the machine, but like the one with the where you can pull down, you know, and
Oh,
do all
cable machine. So you like lat pull downs, cable rolls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yep. And there's one guy, and he just was on there. He did 4 different exercises. Just like he was on there for at least 25 minutes. I was just like waiting. And that type of thing, you like it's fine if there's 2 of those machines and there's one open, but like
Yeah. That's the only one that you,
if there's one, you just have to make sure like it was very quiet at the gym too, but you just have to like leave it after a certain amount of time in case other people want to use it. So I'm just watching him, and then after 25 minutes, as soon as he was done, and I was waiting it out and doing my own thing and like, you know, trying to make corrective, like do the same exercise.
yeah, improvise. Yeah.
Yeah, improvise, exactly. And then as soon as he's done, another guy that just walked in the gym just jumped on it. It's like, oh god,
Oh
okay, so I'm
man.
gonna keep on improvising here. But yeah, that's just kind of one of the things of gym etiquette, where if it's a one machine, like a lot of
Yeah.
gyms have, you know, a ton of treadmills, like yeah, you just jump on there. But if there's one machine, you just have to be very
Mindful.
aware
I
of.
mean, and now I've been at now with Anytime Fitness, at least it's a franchise, right? So they pop up all over. Every city has an Anytime Fitness, at least in Minnesota. Out here, the one that I go to is fairly new, but yeah, so they branch out, but no Anytime Fitness, since it is a franchise, is the same. It's like a McDonald's. They're all slightly different, and in fact, I remember when I was with my ex and we were visiting her folks, which are up in Hibbing, very far north Minnesota, and they had an Anytime Fitness there. And I remember going in there, and I was like this long, narrow building, poorly lit, and they had every which machine you could think of, but it seemed like it was all from like the 1970s. It was like all this real old school stuff, like really old cast iron weights, really old worn out machines and things like that. But they had a plethora, like you could get on just about anything. But there's definitely times, every anytime lacks something or has very limited something. But where I was going with this is that of those places, the right thing to do in that situation, and what I've had happen to me, is I'll be on something, and let's just use the cable machine for like a lat pull down or something like that, where there's only one of them. Every once in a while, you can share it with someone. Be like, okay, I'm going to do, especially if you're taking even if it's only a 30-second rest, that's enough time usually for someone to get their set in. As long as they're not gross or anything or weird about it, you can just be I've supersetted with people before. I'll be like, okay, I'll do my set, and then they'll hop on. Especially the cable machine, you can quickly set the pin, do your thing, and then boom, boom, you just.
And that's a whole nother conversation. Is when do you just jump in and say, hey, can we?
Do you? Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Do you mind if I superset with you or whatever you want to call it, piggyback or yeah? I mean, I've had people ask me, and I'm a little more reluctant to ask, but I've done it when I've been desperate, where it's like, okay, there's only, one squat rack, or well, that's a little different. Free weights are a little bit different, but like machines for sure. Yeah, that is a whole nother conversation though, or another topic. But yeah, no, that's a good one. In fact, I think I even had that on my list, or something similar where people, I think the closest thing that relates to that for me, are people that will grab a machine, do a set, and take a ridiculous long rest period. Like ridiculous, usually looking at their phone. Mm-hmm. That always comes hand in hand. But you can't tell me that someone who is, sitting on like a chest fly or a pec deck and doing their set, stopping and need to take 3 to 5 minutes of a rest period, and they'll sit there. Like it's one thing to stand up and be like, oh, did you need to, but just hang out. Like, I don't know about you. I want to get into the gym, do my work, and get the hell out of there. Like, I don't want to spend any more time than I need to, because I mean, it is what it is. You're doing the work, and most of everything that at least you and me, like for hypertrophy or whatever, that goes on outside of the gym. I some people, I guess, use it as a social setting, but I don't know. That is so not me. But yeah, that's a great example. How about, okay, so along the lines of etiquette, let's just like the obvious. How about like wiping equipment down? Like,
oh, yeah. So I feel like in my gym, I'm like the over wiper, where every single time I'm on a machine, I'm going to wipe it down. And I see like these personal trainers just like, move from machine to machine without wiping anything down. And a lot of other people do. So I don't really know where I stand. I don't even know what the etiquette is. Like if I'm on a machine, if I'm on a bench, like I'm going to wipe it down. I'm not necessarily going to go to every single dumbbell and wipe that down.
All right. You answered one of my questions. So one of the things on the etiquette list at any time, at least at this one, I've never seen it anywhere else, is to wipe the machine before and after use.
Yeah, I've seen people do it before, and I don't do it before. Do you do it before?
I will do it before if I notice that the person that was on it before me did not wipe it down, and especially if they seem like they were sweating profusely. But usually, and I'll definitely do it as a passive aggressive thing in that regard. Sometimes, like I'll make I won't.
That's Minnesota in you.
It is. It is the Minnesota in me. But that does bother me if someone doesn't wipe it down afterwards, especially if they're, and it also serves as a tell that they are in fact done with the machine.
Yeah.
So it kind of has a double purpose. But yeah, I won't. So I like to wear gloves. And so typically I don't wipe down handles or dumbbells because I'm not going to sweat through there all the way, but I do see people going up, the pair of dumbbells, wiping those down, which I'm like, hat off to you. But I typically don't do that. But yeah, it's definitely something that bothers me when people don't do it. I think it's just such a simple thing to do. And I don't know about your gym, but ours has all those disposable wet wipes that are just at the ready.
That's what we have. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the personal trainers who obviously are in the gym longer than us every day, I don't know. It's like I can see their point of view where it's like you're in the gym, you're going to be touching all kinds of shit. Just like don't put your fingers in your mouth. Basically,
yeah, and there's restrooms there. Yeah, but yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, be mindful about it. And most people are wearing like there's a clothing I don't know of any gym that allows people to walk around with their shirts off and plenty of skin exposed unless you're someone trying to prove something or.
Let me ask you this: have you ever feeling really good, feeling really buff? You want a nice picture of yourself. You go in front of the mirror, you take a selfie of yourself. Have you ever done that?
Not once.
Yeah.
Not once. Nope. Take it back. I did once at the anytime I was a regular member of not far from where my apartment was back when I lived in Minnesota. And it was funny that you say that. There was not one person in the gym, and I was in they had a little studio area, and I took one picture and I sent it to my buddy Al. Al, because he this was like weeks earlier. He had said we were talking about working out, and at that time I was really heavy on the low carb diet, on cutting out the carbs, and Al was very and being in a deficit, and we had a little discussion about you can't make any gains if you cut out anyways, we had this debate, and so I was feeling really good, and I took him a picture and I said, bullshit, you could totally, and then it was really funny. But it was never used as a means to look at me or a profile picture or this going up on social media. It was just that one and done only time. It's funny, I hadn't thought about that for a while, because that was going to be a topic that we can get to about mirrors and taking pictures. That for me is very distracting, but also I almost feel embarrassed for the people that are doing it. I don't know what it is. It's so not me. In fact, just selfies in general, even outside of the gym, I feel weird about. I've never been comfortable taking selfies, even if I'm out with Carrie or we're out with a bunch of friends and stuff, and someone wants to take a picture. I almost always refuse to do it because it feels so awkward to me, and I'm terrible at it.
I feel the same way. I always feel very, I don't know, kind of insecure whenever I take a selfie. I don't take selfies. I take maybe 4 selfies a year, and definitely not at the gym because I always feel like everyone's watching me. Maybe that's a paranoia thing. But
no, I'm with you.
Subject for another day. But and I don't know. It's to each their own. You can take a picture if you want to. That's fine. But I don't know. I don't know where opinions can land on this whole thing, but it's I feel like I know most people that go to my gym. And if it was just a bunch of people taking selfies of themselves being I guess the number one thing that I hate is when people take a selfie of themselves and then they don't work out at all. It's just here, I'm at the gym sitting down, here I'm at the gym, but then it's like, okay,
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
oh, yeah, for sure,
Because
that's the
I
thing.
saw when I was talking about the Anytime Fitness when I was with my ex, that the with like the retro gym, and at that same time, that same session that I was there was a guy, like, hats off, he must have been in his 50s, maybe pushing 60, and he was in front of the mirror, and for his age, I'm damn, I mean, he looked pretty good, but he was taking several, and it's a weird feeling, like hats off to him for feeling confident and good about
Yeah.
himself, but it's a weird feeling because, like, I don't know if distracting is the right word, and then part of me is almost feeling embarrassed to some caliber, like I don't know if it's for them or what, because it seems so awkward, especially maybe it's the fact that, like, inherently I think of taking pictures like that as being something more private, and to like be in public and be like, look at me, and I don't know, it's I've never really like tried to articulate the awkward feelings when observing someone else doing that, or
Yeah,
taking.
yeah, it's kind of weird to feel awkward about other people. Like I would feel awkward in their shoes, but they feel completely comfortable with it, which is cool. And maybe that's
Yeah,
just, I don't know.
yeah,
But
no, I don't, I mean, well, how about mirrors in general, like uh, what do you like, do you use mirrors a lot at the gym, or are they just distracting to you?
well, so my old gym, I liked a lot because the squat rack was there's a mirror in front of me, and I actually liked just watching my form as I went up and
Yeah,
down. Now my gym I've been at for I don't know 4 or 5 years. There's no mirror in front of it, so it's just kind of going with it. Um, so I've noticed it there. I prefer mirrors just so I can check my form.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think we'll get into the other whole girl topic later with
Oh
mirrors. But
yeah.
what else? What else? What do you feel about mirrors?
I'm kind of torn. I like, like what you said, checking your form, but I feel like, especially, like, I have to make a conscious decision not to look at them more times than not, because maybe on like the first or second rep, whatever I'm doing, especially if it's something like a squat, something that you really like, it's a big compound movement. Um, and you want to make sure that you're symmetric and you got good form, and wherever you're bent. So yeah, maybe like on a rep or two, but then I it's real easy for me to be distracted by it and be constantly looking at the mirror, rather than making the mind muscle connection. Where am I really feeling this? Instead, because you're using some energy to look at the mirror, and so it really depends on the exercise. But like, there's always, like, wherever the dumbbells are, inherently there's a mirror right behind them. So it's really hard, if you grab a pair of dumbbells, what are you going to do? Turn your back to the mirror and be doing whatever you're doing? So yeah, it's a good tool, but I feel like it's real easy to get lost in there, because even though it serves a purpose for like your technique, uh, I usually sacrifice a little bit of the mind muscle connection with them. So I'll try to use it, like, even with like a tricep push down or something like that, just to see, like, okay, well, I'm feeling it here, and when I'm pushing down, it feels like the bar is about here, but you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, actually I should be pulling it back a little bit more here, and then I'm good for the rest, because then I know what that feeling is like. But
You're like a Zen master, just in tune with your body.
I try, like, if I lose some of that, then I feel like I definitely don't get it. It's really easy for me to, and if I'm not feeling it where it should, then it's kind of like a lost set. But yeah, I'm kind of torn, and there's a whole that just mirrors in general, like the with etiquette, you know, for instance, do you does this ever happen to you where, let's say, oh, I guess it doesn't really matter. Well, usually this happens with the dumbbell rack, and this happens every once in a while. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but like, let's say you're doing shoulder presses, right? With dumbbells. So you're on a bench and you're right.
Yep.
And you're looking at the mirror, you're watching yourself intensely. Someone gets up and they walk right in front of you, grab a pair of dumbbells, and either they grab their dumbbells and then they go over to wherever their bench is or wherever they're going to do their exercise. Or worse, B, they grab a pair of dumbbells and then they just start doing their thing, blocking your view in the mirror. Like, both of those are very distracting, but
number two would become my arch enemy. Like, I think, and we'll probably talk about this more, but just spatial awareness, just knowing what other people are experiencing. Like, if I'm doing a shoulder press and you're walking right in front of me and blocking me from the mirror and doing your damn thing, you're becoming my arch nemesis number one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even that one pass, let's say it was something like, say you're going for like a PR, like your absolute best, and it's so much weight and you're so focused. So just that act of just blocking your view just for a second could make or break that
sure.
concentration, that one rep. But it happens a lot. And
I think it's fine. Like, you can walk in front of someone. I have no problem doing that. Like, I'm not going to check if they're like struggling to do their PR, whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you stop in front of somebody that has a mirror in front, like, and do your thing, that's bullshit. Like, no, that's not cool.
I agree. Well, all right. Well, part two, because I'm too cheap to pay for Zoom. So here's okay. Back to the etiquette talk. Here's a few real kind of quick ones. These are almost like rapid fire that I just want to bounce off of you. Re-racking weights. So like plates that are still left on like a leg press or a bench, or someone just does that on a 1 to 10? Yeah.
Stand it. So I'm a concrete sequential. I don't know how many people know what that even means, but I need order. I need law and justice and order in my life. I can't stand it. Like, I'm a neat freak. So I'm always putting stuff away and all that. I cannot stand it because I don't know, I don't know if somebody's done with this, if it's still there, type of thing. It drives me nuts. But I mean, I can get over it. That's fine. It's more like observance. If somebody hasn't been using that for a while, you can go do it. But yeah.
That's my biggest thing, is not knowing, is there someone coming back? I mean, I'll usually, especially if there's not, like, their stuff isn't there, like there isn't obvious, like a phone or whatever, a water bottle, I'll usually turn to, have you seen anyone on here? But that, it's definitely a pet peeve. And it's such a simple thing to do, but it happens all the time. It's maybe not quite as often that someone leaves a dumbbell or set of dumbbells around, but that happens too. So I got, well, before I get to this one, what do you think of dropping weights? Like, people that let them slam or drop. This could even be with a machine too.
I'm not a controversial person, okay? But those are like fighting words to me. Whenever somebody, like, I don't like confrontation. Whenever somebody drops weights at the gym, I just immediately
give them the look,
like, focus on it. Yeah. It's like, dude, that's not. I don't know. I shoot them a side eye, and it's like, or it kind of goes with the same thing as like grunting. I feel like it's a dominance thing. To me, it translates to everybody look at me.
Yeah.
I need attention. And then it's just like I'm just going to whatever my strategy is that day, I'm gonna ignore you so you don't get that attention, or I'm just gonna glare at you so you know that's stupid. That's
I want to
that's
talk about the grunting in a second here, because they're kind of two things, but the dropping weights is a tough one for me. I think when we say dropping weights, we typically mean someone with a barbell
when you don't need to.
with plates. Yeah, yeah.
To
When
me,
it's unnecessary.
when you don't need to. But I know you're
If
gonna go
someone's
into
yeah, I mean, if someone's doing power cleans or they're doing strength thing, yeah, of course, the momentum. You come up, you do your whole clean, you get up, you come down. Like you're not just gonna like, okay, now I'm just gonna bend at my knees and let the weight gently, kiss the floor. Okay,
Right.
I understand that, and that's not. Let's be fair. At least the average gym, there's not going to be someone doing that all the time, constantly. It's kind of at least with a common gym like mine, it's kind of a rare thing. But you'll also get that with people doing heavy deadlifts. There is a place for it, I think. But yeah, the unnecessary stuff happens on machines all the time. Even if it's the last rep, people just let it go. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of unnecessariness, non-necessity. Maybe that's the better term.
Both of them work for me.
But no, I'm with you. Like I like to do that. Like it's an instant glare. It's that passive aggressive shit again that comes out from me.
Like I'm not gonna do anything about it, but I'm gonna stare at you from a distance.
Now, here's where I get on a slight defensive, and maybe it's just the terminology, but like Anytime Fitness, all of them that I've been to, so maybe like 4 or 5 of them, they have postings that say, as part of the etiquette, don't drop weights. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But does that mean I assume it doesn't mean everything, because one of the benefits to dumbbells is that for someone that doesn't have a spotter, you can always just drop those. Now, most dumbbells, I said that really funny.
That was really weird. I was gonna let it go.
Dumbbells.
So you said something.
Yes, is that European or something? Dumbbell. But most dumbbells are rubber, at least at a lot of these gyms, and so they don't really make any noise. And it's usually where the dumbbells are is a rubber mat, anyways. So they don't make much noise. But I would take offense if someone's like, "Don't even drop dumbbells." But I think, for the most part, it's plates on a barbell that we're talking about, or a machine, where someone's just laying it just slam. But yeah, it drives me nuts too. Oh, so I wanted to get to the next. Now that's aside, new one that this just came up. Speaking of etiquette, real recently. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it really triggered me. But I realized that there are people, and I don't know if this has just been going on and I just have been oblivious to it, or there's just always another bench or something open. But it was a busy day, meaning, so this Anytime is relatively small. There's they have a fair amount of squat racks. They have like 3 or 4. But as far as like benches by their dumbbell rack, they've got 3. And it doesn't take much for those to all be occupied. So I was in there, and kind of like you have your routine, and based on what's occupied, you kind of go with the flow. Okay, well, I wanted to start out with incline dumbbells or whatever, so I'll just move on to this or do flies or whatever. But so all 3 benches, there were 2 people on 2 of the benches, and then there was one bench that had a phone on top of it, a water bottle, and then there were 2 dumbbells sitting next to it, but there was no person.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, someone's coming back to that. So I went and I did my thing. I got whatever exercise done, and I come back. Other 2 people are still doing their things, or they're still occupied. Same thing. No person. Huh. Okay. So then I did my next exercise. Same thing, except now there's a person there, grabs the dumbbells and starts doing like bicep curls or something, standing up, isn't using the bench. And it just blew my mind. This person's using the bench as a desk to just put their shit on while they do this stuff standing next to it. I just couldn't believe it. Like, what drives a person to just like not even consider that, hey, you know, someone actually might want to use this.
That's the whole thing. I feel like gym etiquette, it transfers right to like driving.
Common sense. Right? Oh, driving. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like either people have spatial awareness, whatever it's called. Like, you know what other people are doing versus the person that just like has no fucking clue what people are doing. And they're just like doing their own thing and they don't realize what's going on around them. Yeah. Those are those people.
I mean, the resources are limited. It's not like there's, you know, if there was a dozen benches and, you know, only half of them were occupied, okay, maybe, but yeah, it's just not, I guess you can't take it for granted. But it just blew my mind. That was like the epiphany. This is only like a few days ago where I just couldn't believe it. I'm like,
so we have some like newer people in the gym where, you know, they'll take like 3 sets of dumbbells and use them and keep them to themselves, even though they only
like they're supersetting or something.
You're like 20, not even that, just using them on their aerobics thing, but like they'll keep them for 20 minutes. And I think they eventually figure it out just from like observing other people, but it's not a good first impression.
No, I mean, you could kind of piggyback to that argument. The people, speaking of supersetting, that will superset when the gym is really busy, when there's a lot of people that want to get on stuff. And so they'll be like, okay, I'm using this cable machine, and then I'm using these dumbbells, and then I'm going over to this thing. All the while, there's people that want to use all that stuff, and then they're taking a big rest, obviously, between all those sets, and they're trying to do this elaborate circuit. Okay, that on paper, that sounds like a great idea, but what's the practicality? But in a private gym, but you can't do that during like peak hours,
right?
And then inevitably, you know, if you're not aware of what this person's doing, and you start approaching one of these things when they're taking a rest or whatever. Oh no, I'm using that. Like, really?
That's funny.
Sure.
I haven't seen you over there for 15 minutes.
Yeah. So on that tail, what do you think of like how much does it bother you when someone's talking on the phone or answering a call, or, you know, I give it a pass when it comes to treadmills, maybe like the cardio machines that usually are kind of their own separate section.
I agree. I really don't mind it on the treadmill for some reason, because it's kind of like you're just walking down the street and you're talking on your phone, you know.
And they make noise anyways, you know. And there's usually
I really don't see it too much outside of the treadmill, so I don't have a big opinion on it. But I could see it being distracting if somebody was doing that over by the.
It used to bother me quite a bit outside of the because my old gym that I went to near my apartment was laid out in kind of an interesting way, where the cardio machines were lined up not too far, like in parallel with like the main machines and then the dumbbells. And I still like people on treadmills. That's fine. And those treadmills usually drown a lot of that stuff out anyways when they're running. But there were people that would be just answering like a work call, be like, hey, whatever, as they're by the dumbbells and the free weights and all that stuff. And that used to bother me until, and I think I told you this story once, and I've never experienced this since that gym. I haven't, it was only that gym, and that person probably still goes there. I used to think that was bad when someone would answer their phone and I'd have to listen to a conversation. And I used to kind of like tell myself, well, it's kind of like the music, because I don't wear headphones. We've talked about this. I don't wear headphones at the gym. I don't like earbuds. They irritate my ears. I like to listen to music, but I don't want to put anything on because it's just too distracting. So I leave my phone even in my bag, whatever. So whatever music's on is on. And I used to complain about the music, and a lot of times, yeah, the music sucks at the gym. But I would always tell myself, well, if I'm paying attention to whatever the song is, I'm not focused enough on what I'm doing. So I would try to just like use that. But this one time, well, it wasn't one time, it happened more than once. A guy comes into the gym, and it was in the evening. There was a handful of people, maybe like 6-8 people, because sometimes I used to go really late. And this guy comes in, and I'm like, the music that's playing, I'm hearing something else. Like, then I realized that I'm hearing other music. This guy comes in, starts, I don't know what machine or squat rack or whatever he was doing, but pulls out a Bluetooth speaker. He's listening to his own music on a fucking Bluetooth speaker. And so everyone in the gym can hear this, but it's coming out of this little speaker, so it's not even like good quality. It's all tinny, and it's just annoying as hell. I can't tell you how many, this dude came in while I was there. I had to like change what time I was going to the gym because it would distract the fuck out of me, to the point I was so close, man. I was so close to just being like, fucking headphones, earbuds. Like, it was by far the worst thing. So now when people are on their like answering the call or whatever, it is like nothing compared to how bad that was. But I just couldn't, like, it's almost one of those jaw-dropping moments. I remember looking at a couple of the other people. They had the same expression. There's like jaw drop.
Decency. Just like, why do your priorities trump everybody else's priorities?
Yeah,
I can relate that to just like the pool at the apartments that I'm at. It's like, the hot tub's open year round, right? And there's communal, like, you can listen to the radio or songs on the whatever, just the generic station. But people bring down their speakers and they blast it, expecting everybody to be enjoying it. It's like, no, that's your thing. Like, either turn it all the way down so only you can hear it, or don't even bring it at all. Like, you're pushing yourself and everyone else. And I just can't stand it.
Yeah. You really are. You're, yeah. And I think one thing too that people don't realize, let's say it's like, okay, no one can argue that this is good music for whatever you want to.
Yeah. Let's talk about what kind of music it was. I mean, if it's Tom Petty, okay, I'm all in.
But
let's do
okay. But so let's say that it's a song I really like, you really like, we will just like say that like the majority of the population is really going to like this music.
Yeah, let's see if this guy can put together a playlist.
But you crank it up at whatever time of the night that or day that's very disrupting, and it's really loud. Yeah, I might like that song, but I don't want it right now at, volume 12.
I just don't like people forcing their whatever on me.
Yeah. No. Have you had anyone ever grab like a plate or something off the rack while you're doing, let's say you're doing a barbell bench press, and on that same squat rack while you're working out, someone is off to the side grabbing a plate off of there, and it might even shake the rack a little bit. Has that ever
It's
happened to
never
you?
happened to me. I've seen videos of it, and has it
It's
happened to
happened to
you?
me at least 2 or 3 times, and
And how did you react?
it was jarring.
Yeah. Well, how would
Because
you like? I would be stunned if that happened to me. I wouldn't know
it,
how to react.
at first, well, and it depends on again where you're at in your rep. But at first, I was just like, your mind instantly takes out whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It's completely distracting. It doesn't matter if it's a lightweight or not. But and then so the first time it happened, at first I was just like, what just, and then when I realized what happened, then I started getting pissed off.
And
And then
is
yeah.
only like the alphas are doing this? Like that's what I see on the videos. Like
Oh
these
no, this is usually
females,
in my
or is
case,
it
it was just
confused
someone that
people?
didn't know any better. It was just like it was a girl.
So they didn't even know that you were
No,
okay.
I was going.
Confusing.
So like you're on it, you got a squat rack or whatever, you're
Yeah,
doing your
yeah.
bench press, and they're just going out to this. They're on the side grabbing like a quarter or a 10-pound thing off there, but your peripheral vision is like this person's getting into that bubble, and B, if they're grabbing a weight and it clanks against another plate or the rack itself or whatever, then you've got that also, that stimulus, that vibration or whatever to really throw you
Oh,
off.
I
And
was
then
I was thinking they were taking it off of your actual.
off of the bar? Oh
Yeah,
fuck no. Oh dude,
because I've seen
that's how a
videos of
fight
that.
gets.
I've seen
Oh,
videos
that's
of
how
that happening. That's where
oh
the
oh
came
no
from.
no no no. I was
So
just
you're
talking
saying this
about
is
like
a
someone
distraction.
grabbing a plate while
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
in the middle, while you're, yeah, and it bumps or whatever. It's not nearly as oh man, if that happened, Jesus, that's how fights get started. That I never, yeah, that's
Yeah.
like a YouTube video, something where,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. That almost ventures into uh stereotypes that
Let's do
I'm
it.
sure. Should we hammer these out? I mean, there's way more. I just whipped up a list based on my own recollection. Actually, you know what? I need a little more of the juice here.
Please, yeah. Let's see you drink.
Oh, well, okay. That's that's the end of it. Well, I called it about 1.5, and
perfect.
I'm pretty much a lightweight right now. Now that I've reduced the consumption. Well, that just means I binge on the days that I do drinking, right? Isn't that how it works out? Instead of drinking, having 2 drinks a day, I just have 10 on
10 in one day. Yeah.
in one day. All right. This will be kind of fun. This kind of well, I say rapid fire, but we'll end up getting hung up on a couple of these. Do you get now? How many different gyms have you been? I never asked you this. How many different gym memberships have you?
Only 2. I'm a loyal guy. 2, and
Okay.
I only changed the one because they closed.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's me too. That I can think of. I was very lucky in my when I first started lifting in my early 20s that my apartment had a really nice. It was the only redeeming thing about it because it was a shithole of an apartment, but they had their own separate gym in a little separate building. You remember Park Meadows? We used to call it Park Ghettos in Waite Park there, and and no one used it. And of course, in my early 20s when I was working part time, also basically at the bare minimum of a full-time student, I was only taking 12 credits. So I had all the time in the world. I could sleep whenever I wanted to. I could work out whenever. So I'd go at weird hours of the day. There was no one ever there. So I didn't need a membership then. But I bought basically the equivalent of what would be called Planet Fitness, I think, now. But there was a gym in St. Cloud called Workout World. It was where in St. Cloud off of Division Street where Media Play used to be. And they turned that into a giant gym. Wow.
Yeah.
Dating ourselves, Media Play.
That's a
fucking
huge
love
gym.
that
What was it
store.
too called?
But it was called Workout World. Wow. WOW. And it was $10 a month. Cheapest membership ever.
Jeez.
Huge place. Now the caveat, well, there's many caveats, but one of them being that it was so difficult to cancel your gym membership. Even though it was only $10 a month, you had to go in at the right time. You had to do something in writing. It had to be the manager of the store. It was all these like qualifying things just to cancel your membership.
But your name and blood, and all that
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it was that gym, and then it was any time after that, shortly after that, and that's been it. I always like
I miss
I
media
wanted.
play, man.
Oh, that store was exciting. The VHS days, you pre-internet, you go there and they'd have. That was the store where I discovered what widescreen movies were, because they would actually. That was the only store that carried widescreen VHS tapes.
Oh.
So you could always find obscure things. You could find like box set. I remember that was Puppet Master and Nightmare on Elm Street. First time seeing the huge VHS box sets. I mean VHS tapes. I'd just get lost in there. Music. That was the only store that carried the Panasonic 3DO video game console, and it was a huge store. But that was super exciting. They had all kinds of weird releases of movies and stuff, and you could always talk to an associate. Oh yeah, we can get that in. And I'm like, I didn't even know that existed. Like, I mean, that was all exciting too, because the internet was just barely kind of on the cusp, but still like your like internet shopping really wasn't a thing. So yeah, I fucking love that store. But yeah, just the two gyms. Where was I going with this? Oh, so with the stereotypes. Trying to bring it around here, folks. With the stereotypes at the gym, and stereotypes is a subjective term, but I think for the most part these will bleed over. But the reason why I asked about how many gyms is I'll be curious if how many of these hit home for you. But how about we'll just start with you already touched on this, the screamers, the dudes that grunt, that put every ounce of vocal energy they have into their repetitions.
They want you to know that they're there. I just feel like that's the case. If not, if they're just doing it just out of their pure, struggle to get the weight up, more power to them.
I think you're more right than wrong.
I think so.
Because now, if you get into like the argument about like, well, martial arts or energy or anything like that, using your diaphragm to expel air. Yeah. There, you do get something out of that. But I think for the most part, when with the people that we're thinking of, it's not for that. It's more for the attention. There is a level of it. Like now, some of those guys, it's obvious if they're bringing a level of intensity with it. Power lifters, all of them, people going for world record, Olympic lifters.
100%.
There is a definite time and place for it, but the average gym goer that's doing it, or not even the person that's doing it at the gym, most of the time, nah, it's unnecessary. And like you were saying, I think earlier, like you try to just ignore them. Yeah, that's it's the best you can probably do. Yeah. All right, next, dude with the jug of gallon water, like the gallon jug of water, dude. You ever get those guys that carries around a whole gallon of water? Because gotta stay hydrated, bro.
Yeah, that's more like 90s workout guy, but there's still a few of them.
I still get those. Yeah, and it's not even the biggest dude. It's usually a small, like from my experience, it's usually a smaller dude. But
hey, water intake is key. Like I don't blame them, but maybe get.
I think it'd be more practical if, like you said 90s. If the gym didn't have a nice water dispenser where you can just hold your thing up and it fills your jug or bottle.
Wait, are you gonna drink the whole gallon of this one gym setting, or could you have like could you have a water
I
bottle and just drink that 3 times instead?
right.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I like to like my routine or habit is in between sets I take one drink of
Yeah.
water
Same here.
out of my
Yeah.
bottle, and depending on the workout I probably fill it up at least 1.5 times, and I don't know how much water that fills, but I go through a fair amount. But carrying around a big a big gallon, I mean, hell, why even use a dumbbell? You can just fucking just be doing
Oh,
curls with a gallon jug of water.
right. You don't have to go to the gym. You just
Oh,
curl your gallon of water.
Yeah. Pro tip: you have a weight right there. How about the notorious sweaty dude, the sweaty guy? The one that everyone's just kind of keeping. It kind of got a bubble around him. I say him because I don't know of too many notorious the sweaty girl of the gym.
Yeah.
It's usually the sweaty dude. A lot of times a grizzly guy. Maybe I'm just
Only
drawing
guy-
this up.
Only guy I can think of is in volleyball, and you probably know the guy, but he subs in every team, and he sweats through his shirt every like third of a game. But yeah, there's those people out there. I hope that they wash, like going back to the wiping down, like just wipe it down. If you're gonna sweat like that, wipe it down.
Yeah. It makes me think of that Simpsons episode where it's Homer's at the gym and Raimier Wolfcastle, the Arnold Schwarzenegger clone. He's at they're at a gym and Homer's done working out on some machine or whatever. And Raimier Wolfcastle comes up to him. He's like,
Homer, please remember to wipe your sweat off that machine. I got a terrible rash yesterday.
but it's true. Like it's not like I don't think it's as common anymore. I think people are more mindful about wiping it down, but it's kind of a legend. It's kind of a legend of a stereotype.
I don't want to sound like a cranky old man. I feel like I have this whole episode, but just do the right thing, guys.
Yeah. Don't do drugs. No.
Right. And don't do drugs.
All right. Now, this one hits me really hard because I think I have OCD or something like that. But people that count reps out loud, and it doesn't have to even be that loud. There are the people. It's just like once I hear one,
Why can't you do it in your head? Just do it in your head.
But there'll be the people. I know I'm talking about someone just like us, just talk like this volume. I'm not talking about like 1, 2, 3. Now if you have a spotter, that's one thing. But like the people that like, it's almost like a whisper. It's like as they're exhaling, 1, 2. If I hear, it could be number 3. All of a sudden, I'm counting along with them, and like there have been times where I'm just like, I want to just go up to this person and be like, "Do you want a spotter? Because I can count for you." Like I don't know if it's really an annoyance. It's just more of a thing that like instant distraction, and I understand like why people do it, but I think it's more of just a pet peeve, like something that just doesn't even necessarily bother me, but it's just an instant distraction because it's like listening to like a cricket or something like that. You hear it once and now you can't not hear it, and you're just dialed in. But I get a lot. There's a lot of those at any time. There's quite a few people, and I maybe I just have an ear for it, but that's in fact. Not too long ago, I got a Facebook memory that popped up where I had written as a status, for the people that count reps at the gym out loud, I just want to count right along with you. And that was from like 10 years ago.
Huh.
Speaking of out loud, do you ever get the singers? People that start singing along to whatever music they're listening to in their earbuds or headphones, or even like whistling or humming along, or
I can't say that I have.
there's somewhere. Maybe I'll even put a clip of it when I edit this together. There's a YouTube video from many years ago. I forget what the channel is. I think it's a pretty big channel, but they did a video. I think the whole channel revolves around stereotypes, and they did one that revolved around stereotypes at the gym, and one of them was the person that sings, and it made like it was so freaking funny. They did this whole little skit, they recorded this at a gym, and the guy's like doing like he's on some machine and he's like, what did the fox say? Ring a ding 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 ding, and he just like keeps going like through like everything, and it was pretty damn funny.
What does the fox say? Ring ding ding a ding a ding a ding a ding a shoo doo 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 wop doo doo. I came in like a wrecking ball. I came in that and everybody loves me now.
But I get there's people like that, not maybe to that caliber, but yeah, no, there's singers. How about okay? Actually, do you have any you want to contribute before I continue going down my list?
The newbie that just like hogs everything. That's the only thing I can think of.
All right, I'll piggyback on that one. The person that does one set on every machine at the gym, goes boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, and then leaves.
Yeah, there's a guy at my gym that just like jumps around. He's oblivious to everything else, and he just goes like the lightest
jump
way.
around,
and he goes this place to this place to this place, and he goes up and down the turf and everything. It's like, do you have a strategy here? Are you're just like trying to get on every single machine?
It's around the world. He's just doing the tour.
He's conquering it. Like if you're going low or high reps and low weight, go for it, man. You're killing it.
All right, I've got one, and this will pose a follow-up question. But do you get the guys that and I say this because I have got one now that really is really eating away at me. But there's this, you get the person that comes into the gym fresh, clearly new, but has all the intensity, all the enthusiasm, like going for them, really wants to hit it hard, but has the absolute worst technique, has no idea what they're doing, way too much weight, just really, doing everything they can. And this guy, okay, so I've had this before, but there's one guy now that really young dude too. I'm jealous because he's going to get so many gains, even from probably doing terrible technique. But like I've never been one to give advice, but do you have you had that happen or see that? And B, does it bother, like, because I never give I'm one of those guys that follows along the lines of don't give advice unless it's asked. And so like I'm never gonna approach this dude unless he's like, hey, do you have any tips? And I'll be like, thank you. but what do you think?
You're probably gonna ride the story more than me, but we don't see too many new people in our gym. But when we do, I do see them like trying to like watch other people and try to copy what they do. And but tell us more about what you're seeing.
Well, that's smart. I mean, if I was a new guy, that's probably what I would do. I think back to when I started, and then boy, did I do a lot of things wrong. But there are times where I'm watching. I should just give this guy a name. We'll just call him Ron. And he strikes me. He looks like he's about 20 years old. Little tiny dude. But I'll look at what and I don't know what he's doing. He'll go on a cable machine and he'll grab like the rope attachment, but I won't know he's what he's doing, like how he's like. I'm curious. I'm like, what muscle are you trying to work here? But he puts so much weight on, it's too much weight, whatever he's doing. But there's so much intensity. I'm like, oh, if only you could just redirect that. But I've seen that before. I saw that at Workout World, the old gym. It's not all the time. It happened, and it's not always obvious either, because this guy is really intense. But I'm just waiting. It's never going to happen, but I would just love for the day where, or even anyone else that's really experienced at the gym. Like, I'm not a pro or anything like that, but I mean, like, you've been lifting for a long time. After a long period of time, you learn some things, and it's like just like a couple little changes here or there go a long way. But yeah, he's in there. I see him in there quite frequently. But man, I know he's gonna get gains anyways. He's new.
Yeah.
He's so new. Like, yeah. All right, and so contrast to that. How about the egotistical dude? The ones I'm talking about that want to impress everyone. Now we kind of brushed upon this, but there's also the dudes that, like, a girl walks by and like, yeah, 10. I've got the heaviest dumbbells there are, and I can put them up. Yeah. Or, I'm on, whatever Smith machine, or I can do all this at, half range, partials, or, they're I think there's probably a handful in every gym, but I feel like you're at a fancier gym. Like, because you're not at a franchise.
I wouldn't say fancy. I just go at the time of day where it's like maybe 3 or 4 other people are actually there without personal trainers.
Oh, so okay.
And the rest of the people really kind of know what they're doing. They know.
I gotta remember, you're an extremely morning person. What time are you working out? What time are you hitting the
Actually,
gym?
it's not bad. I work. I put in a few hours of work before I go to the gym. It's like 8 a.m. by the time I get to the gym.
Few hours before 8 a.m. So what time do you start the workday? At like 5, 6?
Oh, 6. Yeah.
Oh, and this is why you're tired.
Well, exactly.
So, yeah. Okay. Okay. So 8. Oh, well, that makes sense, though. Wow. So there's other people that are able to get to the gym at that hour?
There's people there easily. Like, I like to go when it's not busy, actually. Like, I prefer that. And there's, I feel like 7 to 8 is a really popular time for people to go. So showing up right around 8,
okay,
a lot of, like, it's really crowded about them, but then people just, like, are gone.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I feel like the pandemic really threw a curve into that whole thing. And for me, it's for the better. But, like, prior to the pandemic, the normal hours, by the time, the workday was done and I wanted to hit the gym, that was, when everyone else was going there. And so that's how I got into going in the evenings. And, but the pandemic changed things around, because working from home, well, great, I can sneak away for an hour at, like, in the early afternoon, like 1, or I usually try going right after the late lunch crowd. And that's usually when I get kind of the seniors coming in too. So that kind of changed everything. But okay, we already talked about this one. Person that's on the give. This is my phrase. There are people that give their phone more of a workout than they themselves get at the gym.
Yeah.
Do you now? Okay, how big is your gym? I'm trying to.
The gym's actually a decent size. Like, we have a full, like, 50-yard turf, like, for sleds and things like that. Like, it's a big gym, but I don't know. It's just like it's nice and quiet usually, which I appreciate. So I can't really speak to that. Like, in older gyms I've been to, there's people with their phones that kind of I alluded to before, like taking pictures of themselves and things like that.
Boy, I need to bring you into an Anytime Fitness. I feel like you'd just be like, the fuck is going on here? Like,
so I mean, like, I'm like you, where I don't have headphones on. I'm just like there. That's my moment of zen when I'm working out. That's how I relax. But like between sets, is that what you're talking about? Like people having their phones between sets, or just like
Yeah, but to the point where like their quote unquote rest period is by far longer than, because there are people where I talked about this a little bit. Someone sitting on a machine or something like that, and their rest periods might be 5 minutes. It seems like, and they're just scrolling on their phone. Because there are people where I could be there. Like now, granted, since I'm there to do stuff, I'm not going to be watching all these people all the time. But it's like the majority of the time that I'm in between sets, I'm like, they're on their phone. Did they even do anything in that time? It just seems like they're there to play on their phone. Like that is their excuse. All right, well, as long as I'm not at home, as long as I'm in a different change of scenery,
yeah.
Then I'm doing something. It's kind of like as long as I'm not at home, I've got a social life.
Like I got up, I got out of bed, I went to the gym. Like
I went to the gym. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because like people ask, did you get a workout in? Well, I went to the gym.
Yeah.
But I swear, like there are people where it just seems like, man, they're there to be on their phone so that they don't have to be on their phone at home.
Yeah.
I mean that goes. We talked about that a little bit, but also person that's there that just wants to socialize. You get the talkers, the chatters.
Well, it's funny because the only person that fits that bill is the gym owner, and he'll, as soon as he locks eyes with me, it's over. Like I know I'm not like every.
You're a lovable guy. He just wants to talk to you.
My heart rate, like everything is like, it's done. It's like I might as well just pack up my clothes and go, because
Oh, it's that bad?
it's horrible. Like it'll take minimum 15 to 20 minutes, and he's getting better. Like he actually realizes it, and he's like, Danno, I realize I get really intense and I get into these conversations, but then it's like it's hard to pull myself away. It's like I know. As long as you're starting to realize that, that's good. But yeah, it's impossible to do it. So actually, me and my gym buddy who comes with me in the mornings, we have like signals. Luckily, the gym owner is not there in the morning.
You're like doing kind of like this sort of thing.
We have like bird calls, like yeah. So if we go in the afternoon, the gym owner is there, and if he's not doing a private workout, then it's like we know he's gonna start talking to one of us, and then it's like, yeah, we have a bird call. So one of us has to come over and disrupt the other so he can get away.
Okay, I've never experienced that before. Now I'm intrigued. All right. Well, we already talked about the mirror poser. Well, we kind of brushed up on it, the selfies.
Yeah.
But, the funny thing is about posing in front of the mirror. I don't know if you knew... I don't know if you've read any articles or any science about this, but I've heard this in multiple places now that there's actually scientific studies that say that standing in front of a mirror, I know it, and I'm completely serious here. It makes me want to laugh, but I'm serious. Standing in front of a mirror, flexing your muscles and looking and admiring yourself. I don't know if it's what the chemical, what it is, what the science behind it is necessarily, but can actually cause and add hypertrophy to the mix.
Oh.
Like you get your big pump and you go in front of the mirror and you're like, damn, my pecs, look at that. And apparently, according to the science, that can actually have a positive hypertrophic, is that the term? Hypertrophic?
I'm sold. You got me.
Effect on your muscle gains. Like, so I guess we can't really mock those people, even though I do, but yeah, the mirror poser, and then And then we already talked about the person that supersets with multiple machines and dumbbells. So the last one, the last one I've got on my list. I don't know if you have any others, but you're done. No, I don't, and I never will. And these are all based on my experiences. So every one of these has a legit story behind it. And this one I've seen at both gyms, but particularly on twice at this gym here. The guy that gives advice to the people that don't ask for it, that don't request it, that don't look even interested. And I'm gonna paint this picture. This guy reminds me of the quote unquote sweaty dude we are alluding to, where he's got a kind of he looks legit, like very much out of shape. So this is a couple months ago. I saw this guy twice. Same thing. Two different women. God bless them. He just followed them around on two different occasions, two different women, like from machine to machine, and they were very nice. They were very they very much stroked his ego, not saying that they were receptive to what he was saying, but he was walking around giving them all kinds of advice the whole entire time. Didn't look, was very much out of shape, but I felt so bad for the women. You shouldn't be giving advice you shouldn't give advice unless it's asked. Yeah, it's unsolicited. Yeah. And B, I know it's superficial, but if you're gonna go out of your way to give advice, and I say, and personal trainers I feel the same way. You need to kind of look the part. You need to be a role model. And it's like, well, if you follow my advice, I shouldn't say that you're going to look exactly like this person, but clearly you should be able to look at a person as that's their profession and be like, they know what they're talking about. You shouldn't have to like second guess and be like, if I follow their advice, am I going to look like that? Like, I don't know if you followed or if you agree or not, but
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's like if you're taking bowling lessons and your bowling coach may have 20 years of experience with bowling, but has never won a title of any sort, can't consistently hit a strike, but is going to give you tips all day long. It's like, well, where are your prerequisites? Like shouldn't
show me your credentials?
What are your credentials? Shouldn't you have some sort of like accomplishment that I should aspire to be?
I need at least one world weightlifting championship if you're going to give me advice.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know. Like, if a dietitian, I'm just gonna give you advice on a fat loss plan or maybe a gaining plan. It doesn't matter. Whatever your goal was, I think isn't that kind of an inherent characteristic to like expect that the professional looks the part?
Just respect your opinion, basically.
Yeah. It just when someone like that is giving unsolicited advice, and he looks like that, it just kind of really amplifies how terrible it is. But anyhow, all right. So stereotypes; those are the big ones that I could think of that seem to kind of carry over from gym to gym. But the next topic I want to get on is women at the gym, and that's a whole nother can of worms. And originally I thought, so I showed Danno, I had this huge list of topics relating to the gym. It wasn't even what we covered. Like what we covered tonight was just a fraction of it. And I'm always weary that we're not going to have enough content. So the next topic is we talking about women at the gym. But we're going to have to save that because I know that we're way over time. But yeah, I think that's going to have to be for part 2 of this guy talk. I don't know. I think it's number 7, so that would have to be number 8. But that's a little teaser, I guess. So next time, girls at the gym. Who are they, and what do they want? No. Anyhow,
Who are they?
I don't know. Anyways, if you guys, all 20 of you, actually sat through this. Hey, I think we're up to like 27 subscribers. So yeah, if but I, just getting bold there. If the bulk of you sat through this, I hope you found this entertaining, maybe informative. But until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Guy Talk.